Roger that. Yeah, we'll get this down to a science. This is game two of my foray into streaming on Voobly TV. I appreciate Voobly giving me the opportunity to call these games. These were previously played but have not been commentated yet because of how many amazing games have been going on in the Arabia Invitational. This is Group A, round one games. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them. The score is currently 1-1. And yeah, I suppose SMB, I suppose we should take a minute or two and hang out, maybe take a drink of water and get back to it. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Beautiful. Let's check out the chat, see how you guys are rolling. It looks like we have. I actually donated under Zero Empire's name on. Oh, okay. Why am I reading the chat here? That's probably not interesting. Smarthy likes the Benedict Arnold Conquistador comment. Yeah, hopefully that reference makes sense to people. We are still a little bit angry about that here in America. Benedict Arnold really stabbed us in the back there, and we just won't let it go. It's been 250 years, but still not happy about it. 41-minute horse collar, says Nimino. That is a very interesting call. I didn't see that live, but very nice job in the chat.
Yep, I did actually want to point that out, but I think it was kicking in at a moment when I was still inhabiting the future, and that is when you're behind in terms of villages and economy, even if you're the Celts and you've been having a wood gathering bonus from the start of the game, it's just criminal. To be doing a 41-minute horse collar is going to hurt you so much, especially when you're playing catch up and all your farms run out at once and you've probably got to sink 1,000 wood in the space of a couple of minutes to seed all your farms that are all running out at the same time. Even if he was a little bit closer to Vivi in terms of trying to come back into that game, I think the moment when all of his non-horse collar farms would have started to run out, or like this, probably the second round of seeding of those farms would have really crippled his ability to fight in early Imperial Age anyway.
Very good point. SM, as Hardy has asked me to call you, S&M. Very
SM.
nice job. Really bringing a lot of knowledge to this stream. I appreciate that a lot. Hopefully I can get my feet on the ground here in streaming AOC, and maybe one day I can, my goal will be to drop as much knowledge as you are. Really appreciate the help in this stream. I know that you're really out there working hard, and hopefully we can get this one synced up properly, and we can enjoy Game 3 without any glitches. So we'll get that going in just about 1 minute. We will go into Game 3, and this time we will see, well, you guys can see the rules here in the info. I suppose we will wait and see how that game starts to unfold. But until then, hang tight. We will be 1 minute. Is that good with you, SM?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. I shall be right back as well, but you can feel free to launch the game whenever you're ready and I'll jump in.
Let's wait 2.5 minutes then, and I will chat with people on the chat. Let's see. Killer A squared plus SMB squared equals AOC squared. Hardy Style J, that is a really nice Pythagorean theorem joke. Well done. Is that Pythagorean theorem? Man, it's been a long time since high school. But very much appreciating some intelligent jokes in the chat. They're usually going to go over my head, but at least that one I think I got right. Spike Spiegel asking if we took a break. We did have a little bit of a glitch there in Game 2. We did finish Game 2. It is now 1-1, and we are rolling full speed. This train is going to carry on. Hopefully Game 3 will be perfectly synced up, and we will work our way through it in just a moment. Thanks for being active in the chat, guys. Makes this a whole lot more fun. While we are on break, I will shamelessly plug my own channel. You guys know how to find me, Killer B AOC. Hopefully you can tune in on weeknights. I like to keep the chat bridge going in those games since we are watching recordings of usually non-tournament games. So it's fun for me to interact with you guys crack-wise. Hopefully enjoy the amazing jokes of Hardy rather. And yeah, keep it going in the chat. Hopefully you're having fun. Keep me updated if anything is not quite right. If we start dropping frames again, this is my inaugural run and we are still working it out.
I appreciate the apologies. Keep them coming, and maybe get a Canadian co-caster, so it's really sincere. Brilliant.
Beautiful. I'm loving the chat on Twitch. As I said, I am a little bit new to Twitch, and it is absolutely awesome to be able to really watch games together with some people in the stream. Really, truly a great thing to do. S and M, as I may call you for a little bit. No, that's just rude. SM, are you ready? Are you ready for game
I am
three?
indeed. By the way, are you reading the messages in the actual game room? Not to read them out, but just so you can glance an eye over those. Probably
Ah,
worthwhile. Which Civs were played in game two whilst you're taking a look at those? The Civs were Celts and Spanish. So those are the two that will be banned along with Huns, Aztecs, and Mayans for the next game. So that still leaves Britons potentially on the table. It still leaves Mongols and lots of other slightly less common picks.
beautiful
So
commentary there. Sorry for the
whenever
clicking.
you are ready, we can launch in.
All right, and to Smarthy, who was asking about Chow Lucy in the background. Chow Lucy is so nervous that I'm going to screw this up that she's out of the room. We'll get her in here. My plan was, since she knows Mandarin, maybe she can thank the amazing donors from Vubli China who made this tournament possible. And I will launch into game three without pausing so that we do not fall off of sync. Taff with many, many words of encouragement. I do appreciate that. We are on our maiden voyage here. Let me tab out of the game and pop you guys into it. Until then, continue to listen to the sound of my voice. You are feeling very sleepy. You are feeling very, very sleepy. No, just kidding. Okay, we are in game now. Hopefully this is all going to work out for us this time. We have started. We have Yinghua in blue, Vivi in red once again. We will see Mongols v Mongols here in game three. And let's take a look at the maps. So, both players scouting around, finding those initial sheep. Yinghua here in blue is going to have gold to the back, also the main stone on the back, berries on the front, and a really nice double deer patch here. I wonder if it looks like Yinghua will find this very early, and that is going to be a huge boost if he decides to mill that double deer patch. Very nice boost for a Mongols player. Also having a lot of ability to close in the sides does Yinghua, but closing in the front, I believe, is not going to be a possibility here. So Yinghua will be open on the front. Meanwhile, Vivi in red, also as Mongols, will have berries to the back, a deer patch to the back. Let's see if Vivi's found that yet. We'll have to keep an eye on where Vivi decides to mill. Vivi does know about that deer patch. Also, where is Vivi's gold? Vivi's gold is on the front, main stone on the front as well. Could close this in, but would still be under pressure from towers or archers. Could also close in the sides here, but I think the far flank, oh, this is all closable in my humble opinion from Vivi. One big major concern is these two, this main stone, main gold, and secondary stone all being on the front, all being a little bit downhill. One tower here in the middle, or two towers, could be really a problem for Vivi. SM, what do you think about these maps?
I think Yinghua has basically been bribing Gaia. This is borderline map hacking in a Mongol war. Incredibly closable map with two back stones, which is the main difference between the two players, I feel. All of Vivi's golds are somewhat exposed and kind of protruding outwards from around his town centre, like the hands of a clock almost, but the two forward stones in Civilization War, where both players will be wanting to have many castles to produce those Mangyadai if the game goes to Imperial Age especially, is going to be that's going to be very heavily in Yinghua's favour, considering his stones are just so much more easy to gather and to protect. But as well as that, Yinghua's got the back golds, he's got a double deer patch that he's may have a little bit difficulty pushing, sitting there behind the forest, but if he doesn't go and mill those later on, I'll be astonished. But pretty much both sides of the map easily wallable. May not choose to fully wall it all initially due to some of those walls being quite far away and potentially an initial sink of resources, but certainly later in the game some of these areas, say to the left of his TC between the cliffs and the forest, and then the forests on the right.
Sorry to interrupt you over here.
Stone walls over there.
Sorry to interrupt you over here. We are seeing some scout shenanigans here from Yinghua, laming two sheep and stealing a third from Vivi. We are on 4 minutes 30. Sorry to cut you off, SM. Do you want to continue that thought?
No, no, no. I was pretty much concluding that. I think. Um, so three sheep being either killed or stolen, but I'm interested to see if we might see a boar steal because Yinghua's scout is close to that boar, but Vivi's
Ooh.
will actually get it with the villager just in time.
Absolutely right there, and that villager is loomed, so a little interference from the scout still wouldn't have been enough to take that villager down. So it looks like Vivi will be down 300 food potentially here, losing those 3 sheep, but will not be really kicked when he is down by losing his boar as well. So Vivi will have a boar, both boars to take, and a little bit less sheep food, but having a nice deer patch on the back as well. And very nice commentary, SM. Appreciate that very much. And we're just going to continue to work our way through the Dark Age here.
You may want to start adding in that B again, just in the to avoid calling me sadomasochism, just in case anybody is.
Oh, that would be a terrible, terrible accident. Yes, absolutely. I do want to call you by your proper name so that, you know, I can make you fully comfortable here. We do have Yinghua at the moment just grabbing Loom on 17 Vils each. We're seeing Loom, I'm sorry, and Yinghua clicking up to Feudal Age. Is my view bugged? Yinghua is clicking up on 17 Vils. That is pretty awesome. That early deer patch really helping out with a lot of extra food there.
Yeah, that's basically the thing that's enabled him to do that, choosing to mill the deer instead of the berries. It's not uncommon to see Mongols doing as low as 19 population scout rushes, but 18 is quite unusual. And it's going to give him a real advantage on Vivi, who's gone for 20 pop, which in itself isn't too shabby. But he's going to be able to have scouts out pretty well. He's going to probably have a couple of scouts on the field before he does. Normally, you'd really struggle with sustaining scout and villager production in the long term, but with that double deer patch with the Mongols hunting them and the fact that he's been able to split his lumber camp and have 9 or 10 to split his lumber camps, sorry, plural, and have 9 or 10 villagers on wood, he'll be able to be dropping farms as well in the feudal age. This is going to be an incredibly strong scout rush from Yinghua, and I'm interested to see if Vivi manages to keep pace with him.
I'm absolutely with you. We often guess the villager population at the click up to feudal on my channel, and I really don't think anyone would have gotten that one right. If you guessed 17 in the chat, I owe you a beer, I suppose. Very, very great call if you called 17, although I doubt anybody did. That is absolutely awesome. We are seeing a villager here coming forward to the berries for Yinghua, so we may see a... Oh, nope, she's going to walk right past and drop a house there. Okay, continuing to put up structure is Yinghua. At the moment, Vivi not putting up a whole lot of structure, potentially going to try to block in this side here to the left flank, but on the front we will see barracks and stable. We see barracks for Yinghua. I do not see the stable for Yinghua. So Yinghua getting up first, but not dropping... Oh, I do. I'm sorry. My bad, folks. That stable is up, and we will see how the pressure continues to roll in. This one sheep has never made it back, has just sort of run out of view, and that's as good as taking 100 food from your opponent. Vivi is going to close in this side with palisades, and it seems like Vivi is slowly working toward closing in his side. But that will not be done before these scouts can possibly get in. So we're seeing an interesting play here from both players. Scouts on the way. That huge boost, as SMB was talking about, absolutely giving Yinghua a big boost into Feudal Age and having a few scouts on the field much earlier than his opponent.
Interestingly as well, when he reached the feudal age, he was actually able to queue up 2 villages in his town centre, click both double bit axe and horse collar, and then still have 250 food in the bank to start producing scouts with. So that just shows you just how much that double deer patch actually worked out in terms of boosting him, but not really been able to make anything too much of that quick up time. to be honest, at this point.
At the moment, Yinghua with the advantage with scouts. He is going to be keeping the pressure on Vivi's scouts, but there is a spear on the way. It will be interesting to see. Yinghua is going to go in. No, he's going to turn around and go. That spear being enough of a deterrent, and it looks like Vivi will finish up the palisades on the right flank. And Vivi is closed in. So, a big advantage going up for Yinghua, but really not pushing it to the max. Obviously, having the extra eco, but these scouts for the moment are going to be walled out of Vivi's area. 5 scouts here from Yinghua, still having this sheep, which he has decided to leave in the middle of the map, and a few scouts in defense from Vivi. Vivi having a hole in the wall probably will close that with this villager. One would think that villager needs to get a couple hammers down. Looks like she's closed that hole. And at the moment, the scouts from Yinghua seem to be out. Unfortunately for Vivi, this villager is stuck, but she will wall herself in and be okay. So a secondary little wall there for Vivi, and that villager will get back to work. 3 villagers coming forward on gold for Vivi. If we look on the other side, we are seeing archery ranges coming up, an archery range coming up for Yinghua. A couple villagers on gold as well. No archery range yet for Vivi. I can't help but I'm having to stop myself from calling Vivi the Vivster. I feel like that's an awesome nickname.
A little bit cheesy, perhaps.
Listen, my friend, everything I say is cheesy, so get used to it. We're seeing 3 scouts coming forward for Vivi. They are going to be rebuffed by 5 scouts from Yinghua, and at the moment it seems like that force is not going to do any damage. Of course, no bloodlines or upgrades on those scouts for either player, and we're just seeing these two, as I like to call it, flirting with each other, trying to annoy one another, but really not getting a whole lot done at the moment. This spear is in play for Yinghua. It is most certainly going to get a poke or 2 in on those scouts, getting 1 hit in, which is always nice in defense. Those scouts are on such low HP that they are effectively neutered at this point. It seems like Yinghua is absolutely safe in his own end.
Yeah, I think Vivi is probably going to be inclined to try and be a little bit greedy with clicking up to the castle age now. He's fully walled in. He's actually just completed that with closing a little bit of a hole to his near his secondary gold on the right, and I think he'll try and get away with producing as little as possible if it's going to actually delay his castle age time too much. Probably just adding in archers whilst his gold production is kind of floating up towards that 200, but otherwise looking for the castle age. And Yinghua will probably not invest too much more in feudal aggression at this point either.
Yeah, meanwhile, Yinghua taking down another one of Vivi's scouts. Vivi seems to have 1 scout and 1 spear in play in the middle of the map. Coming up with a second archery range is Vivi. Yinghua has 1 up and a second on the way. A few archers were queued, so they must be out on the map. Where are those archers? 3 archers coming forward here for Yinghua. They are going to be crashing up against the rocks. They are not going to be getting in right away. I think that Vivi is perfectly walled in. I don't see any of those annoying pawns that we sometimes see in AOC, which are so hard to wall. In this case, this wall seems to be foolproof, but that probably means that it has a hole in it. If I think it's foolproof, it has a hole, most certainly. We won't see a wolf kill there. We did see fletching coming for, that must have been for Vivi. No, we did not see fletching. My apologies. That archer will go down. These scouts continuing to pressure on the front. Yinghua clicking up to castle first on 1726 with a little bit of an army to put some pressure on. These scouts are going to attack these palisades, and they're going to have archers to back them up, so the secondary wall will be pressured. Vivi would do a good job to back off and build a second layer of wall here, but ooh, he just doesn't have a whole lot of space. So this could be a... I think that Yinghua can get in here and at least annoy a few villagers on the front here for Vivi. Meanwhile, more archers coming for Yinghua. Vivi in defense is housed, and he is popping his archers out now. Those archers are going to do just fine to push back this forward offensive here from Yinghua. Quite a few archers there with +1 damage, +1 also for Yinghua. And Vivi, for the moment, is happily mining that front gold, which I thought was so precarious early in this game. It seems like Vivi is safe, although we're seeing him in the feudal age and not clicking up to castle yet. So Yinghua is going to have a major advantage going into castle. Vivi may have the larger army at the moment, actually down one military unit. These archers for Yinghua are starting to congregate in the middle. We'll have to keep an eye on those as we go. There is a hole here in the wall for Vivi so that his army can get out, but I believe he will close that up if he gets some pressure on him. Vivi clicking up to Castle Age, and we're seeing him be about 2 minutes behind, almost exactly 2 minutes. So we are going to see Yinghua with an early Castle Age advantage, also had the Feudal Age advantage. Couldn't get any villagers out of that Feudal Age advantage early, could Yinghua, but maybe the Castle Age will be different. We are all clinging on to hope. It is currently 1-1. This is game 3. We are seeing Yinghua with a bit of an advantage here, but we'll have to see if Vivi can pull this one out.
Yeah, the difference in Castle Age timing, partly due to the fact that Vivi chose to produce a few extra villagers. I think the difference in the timing is roughly in line with the difference in villager numbers. But so Yinghua getting that food in the bank earlier solely on the basis of the deer. They actually both had 11 farmers and both did wheelbarrow. And I think Yinghua even did a couple more scouts in total. So we really are seeing the power of the deer there in terms of Castle Age time.
Those deer
As this engagement comes in on the front of Vivi's base, a lot of the archers going, I think a number of archers going down for Vivi anyway, so that's fewer archers eligible to be upgraded to crossbows for when Vivi reaches the Castle Age, and I think that's a decent advantage for Yinghua to take as Vivi hits the Castle Age. He's going to have a lot more crossbows on the field and be able to kind of probe and do a lot more effective harassment of some of Vivi's exposed resources, which does include that wood line on the right hand side. And I think Yinghua seems to be fully aware of that and going over there to get some choice pickings if he can.
Absolutely beautiful commentary there, SMB. I want to thank you again for being here with me, guiding me through this first foray into streaming live on Voobly. Looks like at the moment Vivi hitting castle, and we're going to see those crossbows are really not in doing anything too much. As you said, this wood line might be an interesting place to check out. At the moment, +2 range and +2 damage, of course, for Yinghua. Bodkin arrow coming for Vivi as well, and crossbowmen. For the moment, Vivi will be pushed off of this wood line. We are at 22 minutes and 50 seconds, just in case you are checking SMB, and it looks like Vivi's going to have a counterpunch here. While Yinghua's army is over on the other side, really not getting a whole lot done. I mean, he did get some idle time, but he has left his home side unguarded. There are 3 TCs up for Yinghua. Those will be useful in defense, but for the moment, crossbows will be taking over a lot of his farming and potentially pushing him off of his gold here. Again,
I think it's really good for Vivi to be getting that harassment in, and just because Yinghua has been able to drop 3 town centres straight away, so idling that farmland will ensure that he isn't able to produce from those and start accelerating away in terms of villages.
Defensive mangonel in the siege workshop for Yinghua. Would have been a nice time to pop it out and try to get a shot on this group from Vivi. But for the moment, that will stay in defense. And you are absolutely right. I see Vivi on 1 TC at the moment. And obviously, if you are 1 TC versus 3 TCs, you need to be able to get some harassment on. Try to pick some villagers, try to idle some villagers, and equalize the advantage. Knights coming in as well, +1 defense on those for Vivi. It looks like this will get a reaction finally from Yinghua, whose forward area aggression on the right flank of Vivi is getting cleaned up by knights. Those knights are very useful. It looks like Yinghua is in full retreat with these crossbows, coming back home to try to clean up these crossbows from Vivi.
Pretty crucial that actually gets cleaned up over there, because it did have the effect of stopping Vivi from gathering wood at the start of Castle Age or during the transition, and that has kind of prejudiced his ability to add in extra TCs at the start of Castle Age, and I think that will be similar to the first game actually, where he sees he's already behind in terms of putting down additional TCs and decided to go on the offensive with an early university in that game. This game is adding knights and not really trying to push that TC already, instead choosing to be much more aggressive.
You're absolutely right. If we look at the Fog of War of Vivi, he can see those 3 TCs, and obviously there is some calculus to be done when your opponent is on 3 TCs. You know what you need to do, and that is continue to harass. We are seeing bloodlines from Vivi. A couple of knights still on the field here, possibly more cranking out. Let's check those stables. One stable, bloodlines, and I don't see another. So at the moment, bloodlines, and then presumably more knights coming out. Look at this, a nice little batch of knights here. Eight or nine knights, 8 knights there for Vivi, and these crossbows on the front are in peril. That mangonel shot misses. Vivi will push in to the below the critical range of that mangonel, and he will get that mangonel for free. So Vivi with some really nice micro there, could have been disastrous, but keeps those crossbows in play and continues to harass. Meanwhile, knights attacking the initial town center of Yinghua, grabbing a villager. If we look at the count at the moment, it is Yinghua plus 4 vills, but 24 idols. We are seeing those crossbows still active from Vivi, aka the Vivster. Don't call Vivi that. That is just my name for this one little stream. These knights are still in play. Those crossbows taking a little arrow fire, but they will be okay. We see a defensive group here from Yinghua of quite a few archers, +2, +1, +2, +1 for Vivi as well. Knights are upgraded with +1 defense and bloodlines, and at the moment that's starting to look like a pretty formidable group. A couple of those on relatively low HP, but they are going to do a great job at potentially guarding these crossbows from mangonels. It looks like Vivi will bring those 2 armies together, and we'll see if Vivi goes in for another push after grabbing chain barding armor. Crossbows coming out of the front here for Yinghua. It looks like it's going to be knights and crossbows versus crossbows. That mangonel popping out, getting a shot down the hill, grabbing a few, 1 crossbow from Vivi, and getting quite a bit of damage on the rest. Look at that second shot. 5 more crossbows down, and that was very much worth the money. That army is effectively neutered now from Vivi. Did you see that shot, SMB?
I did indeed. I felt like Vivi had needed a siege workshop quite some time ago, a couple of minutes ago, to try and make this push work, but he's gathering so little wood. After losing that wood line on the right hand side of his base, he didn't reassign many villagers to it and didn't send any more to the left hand side of the base either. He's collecting almost entirely food and gold whilst producing knights from one stable, and without the siege to back those up against that pretty big mass of crossbows that Yinghua has, you can kind of see the fact that he hasn't been able to push in and deal with the crossbows effectively.
Absolutely, we see a swing in momentum there. We saw Vivi really doing a lot of harassment, continuing to harass villagers on the side TC on the wood line of Yinghua, grabbing a few villagers there, getting some idle time, doing a nice job with those knights, but the problem for Vivi are these crossbows. There are quite a few of them there. They have nicely upgraded, and they will be looking to harass wood again, one would assume. At the moment, they're harassing the front stone there from Vivi, grabbing a villager. If we look at the villager count, Yinghua is +9, and that is going to be a problem for Vivi now that Vivi has lost the offensive. These knights are still in play, relatively good HP on all but one of them, so they can be effective in harassing this wood line. They will push Yinghua away. Yinghua anticipating the attack there, moving those villagers away, and at the moment having quite a few idols. It says 7, but I think it's more. They are transitioning to the second wood line here. At the moment, Vivi is safe at home. If we look from Vivi's point of view, we can see 2 TCs. So Vivi on 2 TCs versus 3 for Yinghua. Those knights still in play. Camels on the field for Yinghua. Those will do a very nice job to support these crossbows, and I think this offensive from Vivi is effectively done. Vivi is on the front with more knights, but there are no holes in that wall. We have a makeshift wall here of stables, houses, and barracks. And for the moment, it looks like Vivi is not going to be very effective with that. Still falling behind on the villager count, and maybe losing the hold on this game. It looks like Yinghua with a distinct advantage now, +500 in the points.
Yeah, I am surprised to see that Vivi was actually continuing to produce knights from his stables long after he saw the camels, because, as you say, his offensive was kind of petering out. But yeah, he's continuing to create knights against the Mongol player doing camels, who also has a very compact base that's difficult to raid with knights and a good massive crossbows patrolling around. A monastery may be his solution. He may try to convert a couple of camels and swing the fight in his favour, but honestly, I'm surprised he's investing too many more resources in knights at this point. The interesting thing though, Vivian finally getting on to planted 3 TCs after being 1 TC for so long, but the villager difference between the two players is next to nothing now. Vivi's actually clawed it back to just 2 villager difference, and I can only think that Yinghua was idling his TCs for quite a long time, because I haven't seen tons of villagers dying left and right to be keeping the villager numbers the same when one player is on 3 TCs for probably close to 10 minutes longer than the other player.
Fantastic point.
So I think the points difference is in existence may be a little bit deceiving, to be honest.
Absolutely good point. Vivi probably clawing back in that with efficiency. Like you said, I didn't see any villagers going down for Yinghua. Vivi is going to put up a 4th TC. We are seeing 2 large armies in the middle. They are going to engage, at least Yinghua is going to engage. He's getting quite a few shots in on those knights. At the moment, those knights are pretty beefy and arrow resistant, and they will be on the retreat. We can see a lot of those arrows are missing at the moment, and here's a front stable that is going to be harassed by camels, and it looks like this mix from Yinghua is going to be very strong. Camels and crossbows versus what is primarily knights. However, we have a Mangonel here sneaking in from the side. Will we see an epic Mangonel shot?
This is the shot he really, really needs. He needs this to be good.
Get one more
and
shot.
It isn't as good as he'd hoped.
Yeah, 2 decent shots. He took a few crossbows down, but you're right. They were just bunched up and plump for the picking. Unfortunately for Vivi, not able to get that perfect, epic shot. But Vivi still trying to defend this forward, which is looking awfully formidable for Yinghua. +2/+1 on the archers, +1 defense on the knights. Go ahead, SMB.
I wanted them to house wall that gap next to the stable to stop the knights running in, but fortunately their numbers are starting to diminish to the point. Even so, I really think Vivi could do with closing this gap off, because now the crossbows are going to come in and it's going to absolutely devastate his main gold.
Absolutely correct. It looks like we're going to see quite a few villagers going down for Vivi. Right now, the count is +7 vills for Yinghua and 22 idols for Vivi. We see a Mangonel coming in, potentially another epic Mangonel shot. It is under pressure from those knights. It's not going to get within range, and that Mangonel will go down for free. So, unfortunately for Vivi, the epic Mangonel shot fails 2 times in a row. Continued pressure here from Yinghua, putting pressure on this tower at the moment with camels and knights. Crossbows in play as well. They are cleaning up the back flanks for this army. We're seeing rams coming forward, villagers coming forward in quite large number. If we look from Yinghua's point of view, we see 200 stone. That's because he's already queued up a castle on the front of Vivi. It looks like Yinghua is ready to try to put a knockout blow. He's going to have a castle up on the front if Vivi can't react very quickly, and I just don't see any army here for Vivi that can deny this castle. Looks like Yinhua's
Vivi is completely redlining in terms of resources. He's got no food and no gold, so he's not really able to produce anything, losing all of his units on the front in terms of army and villages. And that castle, if it goes up, it's going to deny both of Vivi's stones, which is pretty much a death blow in a Mongol war, and that is why we are seeing GG right now.
There is the GG, and it seems like poetic justice here, or maybe just justice. Somebody can maybe tell me the difference. In the last game, we saw Vivi with a map that I think was quite a bit better than Yinghua's, and he got the win after pushing out. In this game, we are seeing Yinghua with an advantage in his map with that double deer patch, and Yinghua really propelled himself early into Feudal Age, into Castle Age earlier than Vivi, and controlled this match pretty much throughout. I mean, Vivi had a chance with that offensive on the front. One really great Mangonel shot basically ended that from Yinghua, and we see game 3 go to Yinghua. So let's pop out and see what's cracking in the chat. Hopefully we're not dropping any frames, or we're not boring you guys to death. And let's see what's going on. Let me update the score.
Yeah, there were some moments there when Vivi could have kind of clawed his way back. I was saying that there was, for a little while, there was a bit of a slightly deceiving difference in the points. I guess it could partly be down to the fact that Loveching had a lot of crossbows on the field there, which ended up being pretty decisive. But they could quite easily have been splattered by a mangonel at that point. It was very, very close run thing. But also, I think Vivi making a bit of an error, continuing to produce and invest in knights when he'd already seen Yinghua having a pretty good number of camels. I think if he'd had an extra mangonel, maybe some like if he'd still had an archer army on the field of his own, that would have been really helpful, especially with the hills that were kind of in the middle of the map. But even producing a couple of extra monks to convert a couple more camels and make sure his knights were much more effective against in that basically big melee that happened could have been helpful. So even like there was a moment where it was kind of in the balance, but the how good the mangonel shots were and Vivi staying almost entirely on knights, I think turned it in an instant there.
Absolutely beautiful. And we'll just take a moment here to hang out, maybe grab a glass of water, and keep up with what's going on in the chat. Seems like people are interested in my use of the effectively neutered statement. Hopefully that doesn't offend anyone. Maybe I will try to find something a little more creative to say in the future. But my vocabulary is quite thin. So yeah, we'll hang out here for a minute. Let the chat keep rolling. I do think I missed a few donations there. I am going to check the scroll here and try to thank everybody for supporting the stream. Yeah, so let me wait for that to roll around, and we'll take a minute, and we'll be back soon for Game 4, currently